Everyone move their mics closer to them. Thank you. Okay. 15 seconds.
Real Estate Talk is provided for general information only and should not be treated as a substitute for professional advice. Please consult your trusted financial advisor, real estate professional, or attorney before making any real estate or financial decisions. Please remember, when following advice, your results may vary, and all information covered here is not intended to cover all aspects of the subject material, but rather a sample of issues the hosts and guests consider important. And now, Real Estate Talk with your host, Victoria Rivadeneira. Each week, Victoria gathers some of the best minds in the business to provide both professionals and non-professionals with the inside tips and tools to make smarter deals. Whether you're a buyer or seller, Real Estate Talk will give you the competitive advantage you need. And now, here's Victoria Rivadeneira.
So I just want to thank everybody for being on the show today, and I have a really bad cold, so if I sound funny, no, actually, it's not Victoria. Unfortunately, she couldn't join us today. This is Paul Oster, the nation's credit repairman, filling in for Victoria, and I want to thank everybody for being here today. We have Jackie Sendra.
Hi there.
We have Lior Aldad.
Hello there.
And we have a special guest, Rich Intrabartola. And
hello there.
This is going to be a great show because there's so much misinformation out there about the values of our home. So I can't wait to hear, everything that Rich has to add to the show. And let's start it off. Jackie, why don't you maybe introduce Rich and tell us I think he has a couple of years' experience in the industry.
I think just a couple. So I'm fortunate enough. I have the pleasure of working with Rich, quite often, and for years we've had, the opportunity to work together. And even just alone traveling to the studio today, I was amazed at how many phone calls he takes as an appraiser. So I definitely want to talk about that and just the amount of work that is required, from an appraiser, in this stage of the game. So, Rich, I know that you are chief appraiser. We talk about that all the time. And not only are you a chief appraiser, but you actually manage other appraisers as well. So I know that you've been doing this for a mere 27 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, my 27th year. I'm counting.
Yeah. So I know we were chatting just a bit. How many appraisals do you think you do a week?
The company? Or
Yeah,
myself?
just say yourself or the company.
Try and hit the 100 appraisal mark.
About 100 a week.
Appraisal mark, yeah.
So we can. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that Rich, he has told me that he's not only a licensed, but he's in fact a certified appraiser. And there's a difference between being a New York State licensed appraiser and a
certified appraiser.
Can you elaborate on that?
When you do your schoolwork, your education to be a real estate appraiser, they give you two options. You can either be a licensed appraiser or go a little bit further and be a certified appraiser. A licensed appraiser can only do properties up to $1 million. A state certified appraiser can do any type of residential property.
Oh, I see. So there's a cap. There's a cap on how much you can, the value of how much property you can appraise.
Exactly. I
see. And what more do you need to do in order to become from a licensed to a certified? Or is
the state certification, the state ruling one.
I see.
A little more classroom time also.
Are you forced to take your education annually, or did you?
Every 2 years we have to do a renewal.
Okay. Sure. And I know, just speaking, we were again having a chat earlier that appraisals used to be maybe 1 page long.
Yeah.
But now appraisers come like books. They really are. They're like books,
a mini book
page
report.
after page. So can you share a little bit of what goes into an appraisal?
Sure. The most important part of the appraisal is the inspection itself. And this day and age, we have two different products. We have the conventional and we have the FHA. The FHA product is much more entailed. And what happens is when you're doing an FHA appraisal, there's a lot more things that you have to look for. We'll talk about that later on in in the show.
I see. And if you are certifying something, right, and you're in fact getting the appraisal, the comps, are they done on-site visits or are they done via the computer system?
That's a good question. When an appraisal order comes in, an assignment comes in, the first thing you do is find out what the scope of the appraisal is. Are you doing it as a refinance? Are you doing it as a purchase? Is it a foreclosure? Is it a short sale? Then there's some legwork that you have to do to pretty much pull comparable properties that will aid you in writing your report up. So when you first go out to the property is when you generally get a good feel of what you're up against.
So I want to just ask you a question. So I know there's a big misconception that you can just go online and pull information. So
Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, all
estimates, guesstimates as best, right?
All these websites are just what they're doing is they're number crunching. They're not specifically boots on the ground appraisers that are looking at the subject and inspecting the subject and then moving on and looking for comparable properties.
I think you said it best when you said, you have to go and inspect the property. You get a feel for the neighborhood. You get a feel. Sure. So what if if there's not other comps in the area, then it really comes down to you looking at that property and knowing the neighborhood that you're walking around in. And Zillow can't do that,
Exactly.
And what if that information is wrong?
Exactly.
What if it's a 3-bedroom? And Zillow has a 2-bedroom.
Right.
What if they have 3 baths and Zillow has 2 baths?
Even multiple listing is not as accurate as it should be. We're always finding inconsistencies in the data. The problem is sometimes people believe data more than they believe the appraiser, and that's a problem that we're up against right now.
Well, I think that's the job of the realtor.
Yeah,
going into the transaction to let them know.
Unfortunately, they don't do everything that we would like them to do. I'll give you a quick example. We did a property that had what we thought was a 3-bedroom home if you're looking at the MLS listing. The problem was that 2 of the bedrooms were in the basement, but the realtor did not separate it.
With not egress windows, and they weren't.
You do not consider the basement as part of the living area above grade, so therefore you do not consider the room count or the bedroom count.
I'm so glad that you've said that because I've had numerous times where, clients are like, yeah, I have an extra bedroom, I have an extra bathroom, and they do believe that because it is in their property, even if it is underground, it is actually
or out in the
counted.
shed. The extra bathroom is. My husband put a bathroom in the
in the man cave.
In the man cave. Exactly.
Oh, we've got stories. Yeah, we've got cave stories. We've got people walking around the house with a gun stories. We've got dogs frozen in ice in the basement stories. It goes on and on.
In real estate law, if you're looking from a legal perspective, right? In real estate law, they came out with an action called specific performance, which is an action that you commence if you want to force one party to adhere to the terms of the contract of sale and make a judge require the party to sell the property to the other. And the reason they came out with specific performance action, it's because under the law, no 2 properties are the same. And I think that ties into what you said, that unless you go and physically inspect and physically look and do your own legwork, or what you say, boot work, as you call it.
Boots on the ground, right.
Right. Unless you do that, you cannot look online and allegedly claim that it's...
That's a great point, though. They have a product called an AVM, which is an automated valuation model, and the underwriters or the banks sometimes use these to appraise the appraisal. And what I mean by that is they'll actually run the property address, and then this computer, probably using Zillow or tying into something like that, will spit out some comparable properties and some numbers. The problem is, how do you know those are comparable properties? They're just using addresses. They're not knowing exactly what those properties are. So we all know that we have a 5,000 square foot house. Right next door could be a 1,000 square foot ranch. That's not a comparable property. But Zillow or the AVM will pick that up, and we just laugh.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it sounds like that might make your job a bit challenging.
Oh, every day.
24/7.
So
again, it just leads to, how important it is really to have an appraiser out there taking photos. As a lender, we also, I also tell a lot of my clients, the inspection is, for the client, but an appraiser is almost like a home inspection for the bank. Although you are assessing value, which I absolutely want you to talk about how you come up with that value, but it also tells us the condition of that property
Let's talk, great question. Let's talk a little bit about what we were speaking of before. The appraiser is not a home inspector. The appraiser is not an engineer. That is very important. The homeowner should always, during a purchase situation, get the property looked at by a professional engineer or professional home inspector. The appraiser's job is basically to estimate market value.
Right. In a high-rise, if you look at a high-rise situation, co-ops or condos, it makes such a huge difference if you're going 5 floors above versus 5 floors below. The views, the angle, the location. Absolutely. I mean, one apartment on the 27th floor could have ocean view, and the other apartment could have facing the back and no view.
Garbage view. Call that garbage view.
Yes. Yeah. So it is therefore critical that you cannot just use comps and saying, oh, all apartments in this building are worth X dollars per square foot. It's also the location, the floor height, a lot of variables.
But in the co-op condo market, Leo, what we do is, of course, price per square foot, of course, room count, of course, condition. But the big thing is how high or how low you are in that building.
Well, it goes back to what Lior said before. No two properties are created equally or the same. So, and without somebody doing a physical inspection or appraisal of that property, you can't get that.
Right. We also have to, be online to look at what the realtors are talking about as far as views and things like that. Because remember, we are not in those other properties that we're using as comparables. So we are basically at the realtor's discretion, listening to them and taking their information.
Is there a gauge that you customarily use as to per dollar per floor? I think I've heard rumors that it used to be $5,000 a floor value.
Depends on the building.
But is there such a thing? That's my question.
Yeah, it depends on the building. It depends on the where the property, where the building is.
Do you guys have a template as to per floor how much?
No, because you could go in a certain building. You could be on the 12th floor and looking at, something that's not very nice to look at. And on the other building, you could be on the 12th floor looking out over the East River or the bay. And
you'll hear me say this a lot during our time here, that every appraiser is different. Every appraisal is different. And that's very important to know. So as far as the adjustments that we use are at our own discretion. It should be in the ballpark. But, the appraiser, it's his opinion. And, we use what we're taught to do, and we use market, extracted data.
If you're appraising for a bank, do you get instructions to appraise conservatively, wink, wink, or are you, because I know the bank's point of view is to protect its vested.
I think those days are gone, Leo.
Yeah. I've actually, to be honest with you guys, I've always been an independent. I've worked for shops before, but never have I worked on a staff of a bank. So I can't answer that question, but it wouldn't surprise me.
That the bank wants to appraise conservatively?
You didn't hear that from me.
So I just want to take this time to thank everybody, for being on the show and to let our viewers know and listeners know that you are listening to Real Estate Talk Live. And you can check us out. This is live streaming on Facebook.com/Victoria Riva. And it's every Wednesday from 12 to 1. And if you're watching, I don't care if it's even for 2 seconds, show us a little love, hit the like button, hit the heart button, show us that you're out there and letting us know what's going on. And you can also, send some comments and questions. This is an important topic, and most consumers don't get it. We as professionals kind of get it, but the average consumer is going to do the worst thing that they can. They're going to go online, they're going to go on Zillow and say, what's that house worth, or what's my house worth, and they're going to get kind of led down the wrong path. So we're trying to avoid that. That's the reason for today's show, and I hope you're tuning in, and spread the wealth, spread the word, like us, love us, and this show is broadcast every Sunday morning on New York 710 WOR, and we also have several podcasts for your convenience found on our website, retalkradio.com. That's retalkradio.com.
So I have another question for you.
I'm ready.
Perfect.
Because when we take a, when we take a look at Zillow, and let's just say I want to sell my property. I know that I'm not selling a property, or maybe some of us are selling a property 10, 12, 14 times in a lifetime, but not everybody is selling a property that many times. So if I'm looking to sell my property for the first time, and naturally I believe that my house is worth a fortune because it's mine. It's full of love. It's full of happiness. It's full of
a home.
Exactly.
Right.
So how do you come up with exactly how a property is valued?
Okay, good question.
Yeah.
So after we do our property inspection, we have comparables with us. Some appraisers do the inspection, go back to their office, and then they do their research. Not a bad idea, but that could be a little bit costly and time-consuming. The appraiser's always under the gun to get the report back. Obviously, you know that, Jackie.
We're in a microwave world.
We got it.
Everything's got to be done yesterday.
The most important thing is when you have your comparable properties with you, you actually drive those comparables, and you take the photos of them, and then you have the data in front of you, and you weed them out. You want to take anywhere between 7 to a dozen comparable properties with you. That'll give you a good idea. And then we go through our typing up process and weeding out process and adjustment process, and then the reconciliation to figure out, where does this property's value fit as opposed to our comparables. We're always comparing the comparables to the subject, not the subject to the comparables.
And Jackie,
that's why we make adjustments.
Jackie, why is the appraisal so important when you're talking about financing?
Well, yeah, I mean, the biggest concern, and thanks for asking that question, when we're in the world of banking, we don't think to ask ourselves those questions, right? Because we do it every day. But again, the bank wants to ensure that the customer, the client, is not actually overpaying for a property. It's really important that in today's market, we're not overpaying for things.
Let me interject.
Or they're not overfinancing.
Or overfinancing. That was the second part of my question.
That goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
The most important thing to understand is that the appraisal is the appraiser is the eyes and the ears of the homeowner and the bank. And that's an important thing to know. And that, again, is the reason that we need appraisers.
So when I have a client, if the client is saying that I am financing 80%, I immediately advise the client that you are not financing 80% of the contract price, because you can go ahead and pay whatever you want. You are financing 80% of what the bank believes it's worth.
The appraised value.
Correct. And therefore, it's 80% of the appraised value,
Correct.
80% of the collateral in the eyes of the bank, and it's not 80% necessarily as per the contract price.
Exactly.
And therefore, and we can touch on this later, but we always tell the client that if it's not a mortgage contingent transaction, and you still, which means that you can cancel in the event that the loan gets denied or the property gets appraised for less, if it's not a mortgage contingent transaction and you're not able to secure an 80% of the contract price in lieu of 80% of the appraised value, you, in order to continue and not lose your deposit, will have to come to the table. Jack, I'm sure you're aware of this.
Absolutely.
You will have to come to the table with the difference
Absolutely.
of what you are paying versus what the bank appraised it.
And this is huge right now because inventory's down a little bit.
Exactly.
So we're getting back into the bidding war.
Prices are going up. We'll talk about that.
As
That's
a buyer, you
huge
better
problem right now.
understand what
Huge
that
problem.
means, because your numbers could change dramatically.
Not even, I just heard a realtor yesterday speaking to one of their prospective buyers saying, "Oh, we lost that property. We have to act on it, very, very quickly."
So, listen, we have a minute before the break. So, again, when we come back from the break, I want to talk about a couple of things, especially as a seller. What are the things what's the number one thing a seller can do to increase the value of their home when an appraiser is going to happen?
And also the seller, how can they prepare their house for the appraisal.
Right, what are the
That's
do's and
important.
don'ts? I mean, we always hear these things that you can
That's
do,
important.
curb appeal, do
Yeah,
this, don't do that.
that's important.
But I don't think consumers really know, where they get the most bang for their buck. So let's focus on that. So when we come back, we're going to find out the best thing that you can do to your home when you're thinking about selling to increase the value, the real appraised value of your home. Again, this is Paul Oster coming to you from Real Estate Talk Live. You can check us out on Facebook.com/Victoria Riva. It's live streaming on Facebook right now from 12 to 1 p.m. every Wednesday, and Sunday mornings on New York's 710 WOR every Sunday. Also, we have numerous podcasts for your convenience found on our website, retalkradio.com.
This is Tom Marinaro, the president of Residential Home Funding, a top East Coast mortgage company. Now is the time to buy a home before interest rates go up. Lock in with a low rate today, or turn your current home into an asset by cashing in on its equity. Why rent when you can own? Why not get cash out of your home now? So call me right now at 1-800-636-LEND. And as a bonus, if you call me right now, I will waive all of my lender fees. That's right, zero lender fees, saving you thousands of dollars. This offer is for purchasing or refinancing a home. Call me and learn more at 1-800-636-LEND. Residential Funding is part of the New York and New Jersey Departments of Banking and Insurance. Our NMLS number is 36152. The number once again is 1-800-636-LEND. That's 1-800-636-LEND.
This is Paul Oster, the nation's credit repairman, and I want to help you improve your credit. As the CEO of Better Qualified, I've helped thousands of people over the past 10 years. I'm the credit expert for Fox Business News and all the major networks. I'm a certified FICO Pro that uses the consumer laws to help delete negative information off of credit reports. We have a debt elimination program that focuses on the laws surrounding collections, judgments, and charge-offs. You could be entitled to up to $1,000 per violation. Call now for your free credit consultation. 888-533-8138. That number again, 888-533-8138, or visit us on the web at betterqualified.com.
Every loan has a story, a family, and a dream that fuels it. My name is Jacqueline Sendra, mortgage loan originator number 39117, specializing in first-time homebuyer financing and an array of mortgage products. We recognize the importance of competitive rates and a custom-tailored mortgage loan to suit your needs. United Northern Mortgage Bankers Ltd. celebrates over 37 years of mortgage banking success. Allow us to help you achieve your dream of homeownership by reaching out to me today at 631-478-2706. Again, 631-478-2706. United Northern Mortgage Lenders Ltd. NMLS number 7230 is an equal housing lender and a licensed mortgage banker located at 3601 Hempstead Turnpike, Suite 300, Levittown, New York 11756, New York State Department of Financial Services.
For more real estate talk, download our free podcast at retalkradio.com. Now back to Victoria Rivadeneira.
So once again, this is not Victoria Rivadeneira. This is Paul Oster, the nation's credit repairman, filling in for Victoria. Again, I just want to remind everybody that there is a podcast that you can find on our website, retalkradio.com. We are live streaming right now at facebook.com/Victoria Riva. And again, you can find us, on Sunday mornings on WOR at 7 a.m. So this has been a great, like it always happens. This goes by so quickly. But if you're listening to the show, this is probably the most important segment. So if you're watching us on Facebook, make sure you hit the like button, hit the love button, let us know what's going on. You can send comments and ask us questions. But we want to ask Rich, if you're looking to sell your home, what are a couple tips that you can do that could actually help increase the appraised value of your home?
That's a good question. What we've been seeing lately is, obviously this is no short, but the kitchen and the bathroom are the biggest.
I think it's always kind of been that way, which is funny, right?
They've always been, the kitchen and the bathroom, the overall condition rating of the house. Is it clean? Is it tidy? Freshly painted? Are the floors nice and clean? Again, we could
So curb appeal goes a long way.
Curb appeal goes a long way, but once you open those doors, the inside, it's easy to get the outside nice, but the inside is paramount.
So when an appraiser walks through a home, they're kind of focused on, has this kitchen...
You get a good feel. Well, yeah, we also interview the homeowner or whoever met us at the property, and, how long has this kitchen been changed, the bathrooms, things like that.
Because that's where we spend the most amount of our time,
right?
Is the kitchen and the bath. So.
You can tell by the heating system, the HVAC and everything, how, unfortunately these days, every bank requires the appraiser to take a picture of every room, every amenity.
So I'm very curious. I'm very talk about our kitchens being very important. We spend a ton of time there. But is it a dollar for dollar investment? So if I decide to put in, I've seen $150,000 kitchens and I've seen great kitchens for $30,000. So what if you, only decide to put in, maybe
like anything, Jackie.
Yeah.
Cost does not equal value. So that $100,000 pool in your backyard, we might make a $20,000.
I'm glad you mentioned pool. I want to ask you questions about that too.
We might give you $20,000 adjustment in the market. It's just the way
I think it's
things go.
the upgrade itself. Updating something as I always see
overall condition.
When you see listings that say well maintained, that means they haven't updated anything. I love it. It looks great. You maintained it very well. But
That's realtor speak.
You haven't updated it. It's not the latest technology. It's not smart. It's not connected. And that goes a long way. So,
but I also think that when you are renovating or remodeling or upgrading, you do in not necessarily your space, your more generic. So you like have one room with all recon around it. You may love it, some of the other thing may not.
True.
Right. So. I've seen stores where you see things that are
1973.
Picture type of.
I know. It's like houses.
When you do the reverse mortgage appraisals, the houses haven't been touched in 50s, 60s, 70s.
Now, if you come and you need a real estate agent, real estate broker, agent, right? So how much do you rely on his or her description and his or her? I think it's great. I think that this. I think that they give you tons of vocabulary, which is
I've sold a couple of them.
Right,
and they know those
exactly.
houses.
So I've seen situations where the have the apartment.
That's one reason I do like that, because they have more information than we do.
Yeah, hands-on. Absolutely. It goes into place, and therefore you can use that as a.
Absolutely. And they help us.
Right. The great.
So to go back to the pool, that summer kind of upon us, and I have a lot of clients that they decide before they lease their property, I'm going to do upgrades. They don't always get a permit to do some of those upgrades. So this might actually question you or as well. How much is it when we decide to be in our bathroom, kitchens, and we don't go for the proper permitting?
I think it's a big issue on multiple. You're doing a construction or investment without legal permits. Your future buyer, right, who will one day to sell, will come across and have to extend the funds to correct mistakes you're making not legal. I was outside scope of what was permitted. They were not able to get a certificate of occupancy.
Wow.
And the town made them tear down, right, and demolish some of what they had built. So it's extremely crucial. I had a case last